with Stu.
My name's Tiffany.
Hello everybody, my name is Jimbo.
When I graduated high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do. Not a damn clue. So my dad said, okay, well, I'll give you two choices. You can, once you graduate, you can go to school or you can get a job. So I didn't want to get a job. So I went to SBVC, San Bernardino Valley College. Two of the best years of my life. I was a radio and television major, and I listened to radio all my life. We had anything in my house, we had a radio, and it was always on. Once I saw how radio worked, I said, man, I got to do this. I really got to do this.
I got started in radio when I was in college. I lost my dog. I had a really small dog. My roommate let her out, and I put up stuff all over the college town, Columbus, Ohio, Ohio State. I called the local radio station, and when I found the dog, I sent them a picture of me and the dog saying, thanks for putting it on the radio for me. I'm a public relations major. If you guys ever need an intern. And I got into radio accidentally that way when I was 19 and never left.
Stu's old partner Marcus recruited me to be in radio. And he first told me, hey, Jimbo, I want you to produce my show. And I'm like going, what do I do? And he said, basically all the stuff I don't want to do. And I said, all right, well that doesn't sound like a good idea yet, but I get to be on the radio. I said, what time do I got to be there? And he said, just show up at 4. I said, no. I said, that's when I'm coming home from parties and stuff, man. I don't want to, what kind of a job starts at 4 a.m.? So he asked me 5 times. I turned him down every time. And then one day, I think he hit me where I live. He said, come to the Safari Bar and just see what I do. So I go to Safari Bar Monday Night Football. He's hosting, he's talking on the mic. Girls are coming up talking to him. People are buying him beers. And I look at him and I said, dude, Marcus, you get paid to do this? And he goes, yeah. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. So that's how I started my radio career, by seeing all the perks first. And then I said, all right, maybe I'll wake up at 4. It doesn't sound so bad.
What happened for me is there was a format change in Columbus, so I went and did news in Florida for 2 years. And then KCAL here in California heard my voice on a tape, and they called me in the newsroom in Florida and said, hey, want to come to California? I'm like, well, I'm 25, I got nothing to lose. I got a little dog and a car I could sell to one of the mover guys, which I did. And I got on a plane and came out here.
It's weekends and fill-in. Yeah, it's a disc jockey. Those were what they called the good old days, man, because you go in and you could play anything you wanted. We had a huge rock, library, thousands of albums. The 70s, we were a progressive rock station. Play anything you want, pretty much say anything you want within reason. And 80s, things got a little stricter, formats sort of crept in to where they told you what to play, but I was cool with that. I knew how to follow a format. A good deal of the 80s and 90s, I guess, is a bit of a blur,
Marcus used to do overnights at KCAL, and I would go to KCAL night at the Whiskey Creek in Redlands. I would call him up and say, hey, Marcus, is it cool if I come by the radio station? And he liked it because I would bring girls to the radio station and we'd be picking albums to play and stuff like that. Probably doesn't happen like that much more. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions now, and it's not as open as it used to be. But that's when I would see Stu, because he would come stumbling in to his morning show. He would have no shoes on. Stu looked like a transient. It was so hilarious, man. And we'd be hanging out the whole night with Marcus on the overnights. And then Stu, it was Stu and the crew back in the day. And Stu would come to work, running in, just a t-shirt, tore up jeans, and no shoes. That's what I remember seeing about the Stu Man every time.
They called me to California for KCAL for mornings specifically. They were putting together a new show. And they flew me out here for a weekend, and I hung out with the guy that I was going to be working with, and it looked good. And a month later, I sold my car and got on the plane.
First time I met Tiffany, she was doing another show at KCAL. It was Steve and Tiffany, and they were looking for a producer. And a few other guys tried out for it. My name popped up because I used to work at KCAL, and then I got fired. I wasn't the best employee. Sometimes I would fall asleep under the board during the show. Sometimes during long songs, I would go into the other studio and mess around with the morning show girl. So they weren't too excited to bring me back on. But I got the tryout with Steve and Tiffany, and I walked into the studio and I had a bucket, and I put a little sign on it. It said, "Morning Show Piss Boy." So right away, Steve and Tiffany liked what they saw, and I got the producer job. So that's the first time I got to meet Tiffany.
Believe it or not, KCAL fired me. It was a kind firing, but they wanted to go in a different direction, get some guy from LA, and try him in the mornings. I went and worked in San Diego for country radio for 2 years. And KCAL called me back and said, hey, no. We decided that maybe we were right the first time and you should be here. So I came back after 2 years, and they put me with Jimbo and Stu.
There comes a point in every radio person's life to where they want you to work at the radio station. They're just not exactly sure what they want you to do. So they did a lot of experimenting with me. Tiffany and Jimbo and I were a experiment. You know, let's throw these guys together and see how that works out doing morning drive. And I think everybody was a little shocked when the ratings came back, and they turned out really well. And they said, well, you know, and there's a thing in radio called chemistry, which is a hard thing to put your finger on, you know? What exactly is it? It's how people work together, you know, and how they meld, how their personalities meld. And if it's one thing me and Tiffany and Jimbo had, by God, it was chemistry.
We'd worked for like 4 months together right before I got fired, and it had been magic. And they called me, and I came back, and we went on the air that first day, and it was still magic. That with radio, it's chemistry's a thing. It's a real thing, and a lot of people think they can coast on that. It's not everything you need, but boy, it makes it so much easier and a lot more magical.
God, man, we had such good chemistry between Stu, Tiffany, and myself. You know, we were similar personalities, but we had enough differences that made it interesting. They really didn't want us. They needed somebody in the morning, and they were searching across this great country of ours. And they kind of just threw Stu, Tiffany, and myself together just to like hold down the fort. And we were pretty good at it. We had a good natural chemistry. We made each other laugh. And then we got let go because they hired somebody that they really wanted. And somebody brought up again, you know what? That's Stu, Tiffany, and Jimbo. That sounded pretty good. Let's give them another shot. So it took us 2 times to get our show going. And the second time, it stuck.
I don't think I could emphasize this enough. We were a huge part of each other's lives in every way.
We worked really well together, and obviously we did it for a long, long time. Can't work with somebody for 25 years and not be friends. We used to talk about it all the time. We used to see each other more than we saw our own damn families. So, you know, there's a bond that happens there, and that we had that, and we are still very, very good friends. I see them all the time. Not all the time, but I see them whenever I can.
Some of the best stuff didn't even get in on the show. I mean, we hung out together in Vegas. I mean, we sometimes went to porno conventions. We would go to bars together all the time, family barbecues. Tiffany and I, you know, we were there for each other, you know, becoming parents and going through a couple marriages and stuff like that. I loved it. I loved seeing them. We had so much fun being on the air together that sometimes we didn't want it to stop.
You know, you're in each other's weddings, and you're the first people to see the babies. Everything you heard on the air that felt like a family, that's how it actually was. It wasn't smoke and mirrors, which I think is what made us not only good at it, but made us happy all that time. In radio, you always know I've been fired twice. Neither time it was my fault. One was a format change, and one was just we're doing something different. never you were bad. So that happens, and in radio in general, you know it's always coming. You just don't know when or why. And that's fine. That's part of the bargain you make for never having to actually work.
It'll be an Oprah moment, isn't it? You're going to try to make me cry. But I'm going to be strong, because it is sad. It's really sad. I mean, even doing this, I wish we weren't doing it. I wish we were still the Morning Stiffy and doing strong radio. And to have that taken away from you, it stings. It hurts. I miss Stu. I miss Tiff. I know Stu ain't hard to find. He's in his garage all the time. And Tiffany, she's raising her kids and stuff. So it's different. It's almost like like in high school, you got your buddies and you graduate and you say, "Oh man, we're gonna be friends forever. We're gonna see each other." You just don't.
So I knew it was coming, but part of you, after that long, doesn't really believe it.
I wish I could have had a couple of more shifts to say goodbye. It wouldn't have bothered me at all to tell people that I was leaving, no problem. Like I say, man, when you spend 42 years of your life doing one thing, that's pretty damn good, I guess.
We knew that the owner wasn't making enough money and that some things might happen. I mean, I can't say it came completely out of the blue when we were all let go. The timing, I thought we were doing well. I thought ratings had been good. But just because ratings are good doesn't mean that money's coming into the station. You have to sell the ratings and you've got to get clients and stuff. So, and that wasn't where I wasn't part of that in depth. I wasn't part of that world. So the exact day, I have no clue. Because again, the ratings had been okay, good. I thought that we had been digging upward.
Well, when the axe finally came to meet my neck, it was on January 9th, the day after Elvis' birthday. Did our show, and to be honest, had no idea it was going to come. And you do radio, it's always a small part in the back of your head. But after that show on January 9th, I went to go make some phone calls.
The station's position was that they were not making the money that they needed to be making. And I believe them. It's funny. I mean, I laughed the whole time. What else are you gonna do? Again, it was always coming. It's radio. You're not doing this until you get your gold watch at 70. I got called into the general manager's office with the program director, and I was like, I wonder if I'm getting a raise. I had no clue. The general manager, who's the guy that brought me from Florida, gave me a job, made my life awesome for the past 25 years total. He's sitting at his desk and he said, "I hate to say this, but we're going to have to let you go."
When I left, a lot of my friends said how unfair it was. But I will remind them, and anybody out there, that is the way radio is. Sorry, but it's a dog-eat-dog fucking business, and you can even a well-known disc jockey can be here today and gone tomorrow. That's just the way it is, and anybody going into radio should realize that, and don't get discouraged by it, because radio, I've been saying this for a long time, you have to love it. If you don't love it, it's impossible. You can't do it, I mean, who wants to be miserable for the rest of their life, feeling uncomfortable with their job? You're either comfortable with radio or you're not, and that's all I ever wanted, and you gotta want it bad. I
got off my phone call and I looked for Tiffany and I found her, And I said, all right, you ready to cut a promo, which is like a commercial talking about the next day's show. And Tiffany just came out of the office that I thought she was moving to Cola, and she says, I don't think we're gonna have to. I'm still thinking Tiffany had a good meeting and is going to Cola to do mornings. And I said, really? We don't have to do a promo? And she goes, wait for it. And all of a sudden, Jimbo to the general manager's office. And I look at Tiffany and I go, okay, here we go. I walk into the office and there's the general manager, there's a program director, and over here is a human resources lady, which you know is a kiss of death. And the first thing I said, her name was Leisha, and I said, Leisha, I said, it's always good to see you, but I like seeing you in your office. I said, when you're in this office, something's about to go down, ain't it? And that's, all of a sudden, her eyes started welling up, and all of a sudden the general manager goes, well, yeah, we got something to tell you. And I'm like, oh, it's really happening.
It's very weird because you have everything in place, the way you do things every day, and then this, well, of course, we're gonna do a promo and we have this order, and then suddenly it's like, no, that whole order is, it's completely off the desk. It's over. But I didn't feel bad. I really didn't. You get 20 years of that? Who gets that? Who gets to do? Okay, if you're a movie star and you got your trailer and everybody loves you, I felt like a little movie star. I felt like a little rock star the whole time. And I'd rather think, wow, look what I got, rather than, oh, it ended. It was always going to end.
As far as being able to say goodbye, that's probably, I think, was the biggest injustice, because I would have loved to have been given the opportunity to say goodbye. I had so many good friends that are still, I consider some of my best friends, and I met them one way or another through working on the radio, and I wish I would have had that opportunity.
What I've taken away at this point is I'm glad I appreciated while it was happening, because I'm starting to work in real life now for the first time since I was very young, and I realized just how much I never worked. Seriously, it was wonderful.
That's funny and true. Yeah.
It really is.
Well, I always like to
I
say,
like what I'm doing now,
yeah,
but it's
not as much as what we did.
It's a job. We did not have jobs.
No.
Yeah, I always like to say we got paid to do everything we got in trouble for in high school.
Everything.
It was
It's
encouraged, and
They pay you to party.
man, it was a fun ride. We got so many great stories to tell our grandkids
God.
one day. My grandpa didn't tell me stories about that. I'm gonna have way cooler stories
Oh,
than
yeah.
my grandpa told me, because we did the Morning Stiffy.
And my
Grandpa was pretty cool.
My grandpa was very, very cool, but he never got to fill what do you call the super soakers with milk and spray girls with it. But because of our job, we got to do that, and I can't wait to tell my grandson that
This
one
is
day.
funny. You know what this illustrates? Some of his favorite parts of our job were some of my least favorite parts of our job.